Hey, good morning, everybody. Crypto Mentor 99 here. And I am super excited this morning. I've got Dennis, who's the director of a hedge fund called Ferox Advisors. We found each other kind of on accident on Telegram about 24 hours ago. And I said, dude, I got to interview you. You're the only hedge fund manager or director that wants to talk to a little guy like me. So, Dennis, welcome.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for this interview.
Yeah.
And hello, everyone.
So, let's start from the beginning. So, we found each other on Telegram. And then last night, when I was babysitting for two of my grandchildren, we did a quick Skype call, and um,
Indeed.
I'm
I think
glad that I came across you because, yeah, I think the people need to know more about you and your company. So let's kind of start from the beginning. How does a young boy growing up in Turkey end up having and directing a hedge fund?
that's right. Thank you very much. There was in the late 90s and the beginning of early 2000s, the high frequency trading took the world by storm.
Yeah.
And that was a massive short, and the leading companies of this, certainly it was the United States, some companies from New York and out of Chicago. But in Europe, the center was the Netherlands for this
Okay.
technologically motivated high frequency trading firms. The problem was Europe has an aging population, as you very well know. So they had a massive shortage of talented young people that were quick with numbers, that were good in math, and that had very high mental agility. So these top tier high frequency trading firms came to basically the emerging world. Like they went to Russia, India, Turkey, and some other places
Hmm.
where they believed people had a good education, and they looked for high IQ individuals, and they came with their own tests, and they tried to recruit straight out of campuses of the top universities in these countries, then to bring them back to their company and educate them in places like Amsterdam, London, a little bit in Frankfurt, and then to make traders out of them. Because there just wasn't enough people, with the Dutch nationality or even in the European Union. So that was my first interaction. I was always, I guess, a little bit gifted with numbers, and I was very quick mentally. So when I entered the examinations of these firms, and like very few, like the top 1/10 of a 1% even passed the first stage. So when we
Hmm.
got invited for an interview, it was like a very big deal. It was all math majors or engineering PhDs or really quantitative fields dominating these tests, and even then, very few percentage even made it to the first round. So when we got invited, me and a couple of friends, it was like a great opportunity to jumpstart your career. So that was my first exposure. Then I did a master's in New York City at Columbia University, where I got exposed to Wall Street. I did some internships there, but this was right at the time when the credit crunch had hit the United States, and investment banks, which up until that day we thought were like the greatest firms in the world, because they said like these cannot fail, these are the cornerstones of world finance. They started going bankrupt one after the other. My first offer was actually by Lehman Brothers, and then I found out on the news that the department that offered me a job in Singapore, which is Lehman Energy, this is going to be my first job in Wall Street. They just went bankrupt, and I was wondering, wow, that interview went great. But nothing came after it because the company is no more. So so after that, I came back to Europe and started my career at Royal Dutch Shell. I was exposed to some energy commodities there, but I always had on the back of my mind how competitive the trading
Hmm.
industry was. So as soon as I landed a trading role, I became a trader in Amsterdam, in
Okay, now
options.
slow down, hang on, because this is good stuff.
That's too
So
much, man.
no, this is good. I wanted to show this at the beginning. This is from Dennis's website that I printed last night that I'm going to put in the link below. And because Dennis started to talk about, your biography here. So, was your first job at Royal Dutch Shell? Was that your first job out of
That was
college?
first, yeah, after my master's degree, that
Right.
was the first ever paid job that I got.
And then you went to Amsterdam.
Yeah, the job was in London, but then they sent me back to Istanbul, but I was pursuing these training examinations of these proprietary firms, and then I went back to Amsterdam, which was my second job actually, with Tibra Capital.
Okay, and I just want everybody to know what a knowledgeable person you are. And I'm reading from your website. It says relocating to Amsterdam to become one of the most profitable options market makers at Tibra Capital. So
That's right.
you've got some major accomplishments behind you.
Yeah, yeah. That was a one of the leading proprietary trading firms in Europe, and yeah, we did very good there. That's right.
Okay, so let's kind of transition a little bit. Let's talk about Ferox Advisors, your role, what you do, and talk a little bit about, because we did a little bit of a pre-interview before we started recording, Dennis. Talk a little bit about, I mean, a little bit, 5 minutes, whatever. Talk a little bit about your hedge fund as far as fiat clients, and then we're going to change gears and talk a little bit longer about your not options trading, but your new option of taking on cryptocurrency customers. Okay, so first tell us a little bit about Ferox Advisors and what you do for people that want to invest fiat currency. Can we start
Sure.
with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So 3 years ago, I established a small hedge fund in the free trade zone near Dubai in Iraq, which belongs to the United Arab Emirates. This is to give some tax exemptions to our foreign clients. And I manage the trading in the firm. I manage the proprietary accounts of the firm, as well as external capital of our investors. And we do a couple of things. The traditionally what we used to do and what we're still continue, our main line of business is in derivatives trading, exchange traded derivatives, where we establish managed accounts, where the investor retains the account in his own name and opens a derivatives account in one of the leading brokers in the world. Primarily, I use Interactive Brokers because it offers the greatest margin functionality and the most competitive fees. And there, they give us trading authority. The client gives us trading authority, and we do our profit share. I typically charge no management fees, and we typically divide the profits 50-50 every quarter above the high water mark.
Okay,
And there we
so let's go back. So hang on. So this is good stuff. So for your fiat clients, okay, they open an account, okay, and then you have authority to go in and do the trading, right, which is basic. And then every quarter it's 50-50, right?
exactly above the high water mark.
Okay, now what is that? I'm not familiar with that term.
So let's say the client invests $100,000 and we make 20,000 in the first quarter. We share it 50-50, so 10,000 goes back to the client, 10,000 is our
Oh, okay.
profit.
So the high water mark is where you start at.
The high water mark then becomes $120,000. So you have to make profits on top of the highest point that you achieved and where you did the profit share. So this is to protect the client from repetitively paying profit fees or performance fees.
Sure. So there's no upfront fees, but it's 50-50 with the
Of the performance.
performance. Okay.
Exactly.
And again, we talked a little bit about this on the pre-interview. So for your fiat clients, could you let everybody know maybe what some of the minimum requirements would be in US dollars?
To benefit from the cross margining and options, the ideal recommendation by the broker, and this is in accordance with the United States securities law, is 110,000 US dollars, because then the broker offers you portfolio margining. However, we do accept as low as 10,000 if the client is happy with us just trading futures.
Sure. Okay. And I'm going to put your information in the description box of this video below, Dennis. So I'm going to put your website, your Twitter account, and can I put your email address? Because sometimes people are get lazy and don't want to go through the website, but I want to make sure that people have all your contact information right there.
Sure. We can just give the general email address, which is info@Ferox Advisors. That would be perfect.
So info@feroxadvisors.com.
Exactly, sir, yes.
Okay, let me make a note of that, and I'm going to write that in. Well, now let's turn the corner and talk about everybody's favorite subject,
Absolutely.
cryptocurrencies.
Absolutely,
So, how did, and I kind of say this jokingly, and since you went to college in the United States, you might understand my humor better. So, how did a little guy like you, who grows up in Turkey, who comes to the United States to get an advanced degree, wake up one day and say, maybe I should be looking at cryptocurrencies too? So, tell us about that, Dennis.
I felt really small in the United States, I felt the establishment was coming after me, so I had to get into cryptocurrencies. To protect to become the big guy, you have to fight the system. Now, back in Zurich, when I was trading for a hedge fund, if you reached a yearly profit of, let's say, 15-20%, the investors would come crushing the door. You wouldn't know what to do with the new cash flow that's coming your way. This is considered magnificent performance, especially if you can control the risk. If you limit the risk, limit the downside to 3-5% and make upwards of 10% per year, this is considered to be perfect, John, or shall I call you crypto mentor? But then, for the last couple of years, we found out that there was this new nerdy kids on the block that were talking about making 10x, 15x, 20x. One of my friends, actually from Switzerland, he made a challenge and he published it online. I can show you the records later on cryptocompare.com. He made a challenge, 10,000 to 1 million. He made a cryptocurrency portfolio during the last bull run in the beginning of 2017, and dared people, made a bet with people and published it online. Can I reach, just by rebalancing the portfolio maybe once or twice in a couple of months, how soon can I reach from 10,000 to 1 million US dollars? That's 100 times gain in equity. And to everybody's amazement, myself included, which was the final wake-up call for me, he did it in less than 1 year. Wow. Now, I consider myself, some people consider me a fantastic trader, but I never achieved anything like that in derivatives. So, sorry, I'm just myself on the office and somebody's at the door. Can we just
Sure, yes, go ahead.
Right
Yes.
Just give me 1 second.
Sure. So while Dennis is going to get answer the front door at the office, he's been since I'll read from his website.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. So Dennis, hang on. So it says since June 2017, we are also offering managed accounts on cryptocurrencies, which have indubitably become the most profitable asset class in the world in the 21st century. We specialize in exchange-listed derivatives and can help you achieve benchmark defeating returns in 2 ways. So let's back up. So your friend does this challenge, he reaches his goal, you're surprised, and do you say to yourself, Dennis, you got to get involved in cryptocurrencies?
I say to myself, I have to out-compete him now, I don't want to leave so much money on the table. That's an amazing accomplishment. So since 2017, we've been also trading cryptocurrencies. And now, 2018 was a very, very, obviously the crypto winter struck everyone and everybody's unhappy with the performances. However, I think right now, the weak hands and all the negative publicity surrounding these scammy ICOs, all of that has dissolved right now. And the stronger, the more real projects with established products, with real use cases, and with superior technology have survived, and they're more established, stronger than ever before. So, in my opinion, now would be a spectacular time to re-enter into the world of cryptocurrencies, because for all intents and purposes, the genie is out of the bottle.
Yeah.
The cryptocurrencies will dominate the financial scene.
Okay, so
It cannot be stopped.
right. So walk us through, if you wouldn't mind, Dennis, step by step for someone that says, hey, I want to get a hold of Dennis. I want to ask him a few questions. Tell us like what the minimum would be. You don't have to tell us how you do it because that's your information, but tell us a little bit more what you would tell a new prospect who called you on the phone and said, hey, Dennis, I'm interested in your services. What can you offer me and how do I do it? How do I get involved?
Sure. I would again structure a managed account deal with them. However, with the caveat, with the proviso that this space has natural volatility, because blockchain
Yeah.
technologies are emerging technology with many unknowns, and also it is garnering a lot of opponents from the existing financial system, from the establishment. So the state actors, the banks, and all the existing institutions of traditional finance will continue to fight this in conventional and unpredictable ways. So any investor who's coming to us can expect spectacular returns, yes, but they should also come with the knowledge that there's significant downside risk.
Right.
That is far exceeding the palatable risk of, for example, trading a more mainstream financial instrument. So I would say any amount that you're comfortable with losing, maybe even up to 100%, uh, is okay to invest into cryptocurrencies. Because when you have the potential to make 10 times your equity, I think it's a reasonable risk reward ratio to risk everything that you're investing. Because on the upside, you can multiply it by tenfold or greater easily within even a year.
So when you talked about your managed accounts with fiat, you said, $110,000 and then every quarter, 50/50. Could you talk a little bit more about how you handle cryptocurrency managed accounts?
I mean, normally, just because of administration convenience, I kept the minimum investment at 5,000. But really, there is no barrier, because that's one of the beautiful things about cryptocurrency. It's decentralized. It's not regulated. So even with as little as a couple of $100, you can make a lot of money. That's a wonderful thing about this emerging markets. There are many projects out there, especially in the altcoin space, where people have not even heard about them. But
Yeah.
I mean, I know the teams personally. Some of them you also know, I'm aware. And they have a working product. They have tremendous expertise technologically, but there is just no buyers out there. So some of these names that offer, and they're trading for pennies or even less than pennies. They're trading for a few satoshis. So with even a very minimal investment, you can build a sizable, you can build a promising portfolio. So there is no really minimum limit, but the profit sharing is similar, 50-50, and I try to do it every quarter. And just for convenience sake, the minimum investment would be $5,000.
Okay, so $5,000 US to open up a crypto account, and they could get a hold of you and ask you more questions about that, and et cetera, right?
Absolutely, I can show them a draft contract. We have a very traditional contract, but it's more because it's really not a regulated space.
Sure.
It's more a relationship of trust more than anything else. And all the contracts, all of that is actually, I mean, in essence, a formality.
Right. So if
Because some,
so,
some of these things you trade on the peer-to-peer decentralized over-the-counter exchanges. Some of them you hold at esoteric exchanges that might have encountered technical problems at any moment. So the risks are unconventional. But such is the promise of profits are so high that I think
Right.
all these newly risks are all palatable.
So would people like wire you the money and do you open the account or am I opening my own account and I give you access to it?
I mean, we do several things. Like, for example, one thing that I do is arbitraging. Then you don't even know at what exchange
Okay.
the opportunity will emerge from. So it's better in that case is to hold the money in a consolidated bank account,
Sure.
and that we do like a pro rata disbursement from there. That's just faster for me.
Okay. And we did not talk about this during the pre-interview, so if I catch you off guard, I don't mean to.
No
Um,
worries.
so is there any, if someone says, okay, here's X amount of dollars for a crypto managed account, I'll just say, what are the options for people to exit that account or that position, for lack of a better word?
I mean, the liquidity can be a problem in some cases because some of these products that you're trading, they're not even listed anywhere. So you
Yeah,
go out and try to find peer-to-peer
sure.
counterparties to trade. However, if the investor wants to get out, at the earliest opportunity, one month's notice should be fine in almost
Okay,
all cases.
okay. I mean, and then secondly, could people reinvest like so like let's say at the end of a quarter someone makes, let's just keep it simple and small, well not that small, but $10,000. You get 5,000, I get 5,000. Can I take my 5 and reinvest that, say keep it and just reinvest that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Or can I say, hey, that's great, Dennis, you did a great job, keep my principal but wire me the $5,000 back?
That would be the more reasonable approach because there's so much inherent volatility. I guess the best thing to do, the ideal, like the most austere measurement to take would be, I guess, to take part of it in fiat and keep part of it in cryptocurrencies.
Okay.
So maybe accept half the profits in Ethereum, for example. I'm just giving an example, and
Sure.
accept half of it. Actually, I like to focus on products that pay dividends in fiat money, which kind of creates a hedge for you against the currency risk that cryptocurrencies are, because they lost a lot of their value against the fiat. So if you focus on these projects that have a leg also in the fiat world, you can be reasonably hedged against all of these risks from all directions.
Okay.
So that's what I focus on for the more conservative investor.
Okay, and I know like with let's see, how should I say it? Is so for your crypto accounts, okay, for again, lack of a better word, is there like, and you'll know what I'm talking about, is there like a conservative approach, a moderate approach, like, or just someone says, hey, you know what, let's go volatility, I don't care, take my money and let's go 25x.
Yeah, that's my style. I like to do it like if it's all up to me. Like if the investor says, trade it as if you would trade with your own money, I would take the most aggressive approach because sometimes you see an opportunity. It's just there's just nothing like it. Like you see an opportunity, there's just no other financial asset class that offers you a reward like a
Sure.
cryptocurrency would.
Yeah.
So then I go all in. But if the investor says, you know what, I like to be, I'm content with just making, let's say, 5 to 10% per month. I don't need to make it 10x, 15x. I just want my equity to multiply in an amount that's benchmark defeating. Then obviously I can take a more conservative approach. So that's just a personal relationship you establish with the investor,
Sure.
depending on her appetite.
And then again, I'm going back to your website here. So again, I don't mean to catch you off guard with this question.
Uh,
So you've been doing this since June, or the crypto since June of 2017. Would it be fair to ask? And again, I get we're in the winter, I get the volatility, but for someone that knows what you're talking about, that's tracking with what you're saying, do you have any sort of, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but like a track record of how you've done since June of 2017?
Sure, I can send you some statistics, but what we were doing in the beginning, when I first got exposed to cryptocurrency investments, we were doing a lot of mining back then.
Mm,
So we took a different approach because we were constantly minting these new altcoins. So as soon as we saw some profits, just to pay the electricity bill and to recoup our initial investment, we had a partnership of three people, and especially the other partners, they were brand new into the world of investments and also definitely into the world of cryptocurrencies. So we took a much more conservative approach with crypto mining. Starting late 2018 to this year, it's much more heavily trading right now. Now
okay,
focusing on these new projects, getting to know doing deep dives with the management teams. So the investment profile has changed a little bit,
sure.
but I can come up with like an overall track record if you'd like to know about that. I can give
Okay.
you a detailed breakdown.
And then it should come as no surprise, I guess. I've got um, some accounts in the United States that are managed, right? Just, I mean, I'm not 100% in cryptocurrencies. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to be, but that could change. But every month, I have access to like the monthly or the quarterly statement. How do you do that for your crypto customers? Like, how do they know what they're making or where they're at?
I give them a monthly screenshot of the consolidated wallet pages because, like in these exchanges, they just don't have these official accounting tools yet.
Yes,
It's just
right.
established. So all you can do is to maybe show the investor, on a screen share or on a screenshot even. So it's. I have to admit, it is based on a lot of trust at the
Sure,
moment.
sure. And
Because people who know me from my network, these are like it's more difficult to establish this type of relationship in cryptocurrencies, on a cold call, for example,
sure,
because the space is just not regulated yet at
right,
that level. So,
right. So
yeah,
I
you have to,
understand
yeah.
that. Right, I understand. Right. Someone who may be listening to the first time that doesn't know anything about cryptocurrencies may be like, well, forget this. Well, then this video isn't for you, and that's fine. So, what would you like? We're going to wrap up here. So, when I do an interview, I always have the person give the last word, the last couple minutes. So, Dennis, what would you like someone to know either about you, Ferox Advisors, your fiat services, or your crypto services? Like, what would you want people to know at the end of this video?
Well, I would suggest them to just pick up the phone and give us a call or shoot us an email because depending on the experience level and the appetite of the prospective clients, we can offer them a range of solutions. Like for the more experienced investor, I even share with them, for example, some of my crypto derivatives trading on BitMEX, which arguably is the most established crypto derivatives exchange in the world right now.
Okay,
So for investors that really want to get into complex positional trading and swaps and futures, we can offer them that. So it's better to just reach to us directly. But I think any serious participant in this market should know that the vast majority of crypto activity has to remain, just by its raison d'etre and by its telos, it has to remain outside the scope of traditional
yes,
establishments. This
yes.
is the spirit of cryptocurrency, so one should come with an open mind and with a brave approach into this brave new world that's going to dominate. So, and then they could find a new life for themselves
That's
in
awesome.
this beautiful enterprise.
Okay. Well, listen, Dennis, again, I am so thankful and honored and privileged that you take time out of your morning, afternoon, or evening to talk to a little guy like me. But I'm going
No,
to
not at
put,
all. Same here. My honor, sir.
no, I'm going to put all your contact information below. And I think, again, I don't know you other than our little Skype call last night, but me personally, I'm going to start a dialogue with you, okay? For sure, literally. And yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch, but I'll put all your information below. And yeah, thanks for coming on and sharing what you did as a little guy, New York, Amsterdam, and now with Ferris Advisors. And I mean this with all my heart. When I interview someone like you, I feel like my cryptocurrency family just grew a little bit. So I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I have the same feeling, and you are a great interviewer, so thanks a lot for this opportunity.
Okay, thanks, Dennis. We'll be back in touch.
Likewise. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Take care.